What happens when a prince who no longer wants to be treated like royalty sits across from one of Britain's toughest morning hosts, only to find she isn't afraid to strip away the titles, the privilege and the excuses? This was no polite fireside chat. What unfolded on the Lorraine show turned into one of the most combustible interviews in daytime television history. A clash of egos and tempers spiraled so far out of control that producers nearly pulled the plug mid-broadcast. The studio had its usual morning glow, soft lighting, a cozy set designed to put guests at ease, and Lorraine Kelly's trademark warmth filling the room. The audience applauded politely as Prince Harry entered in a sharp, tailored suit, his expression stiff rather than relaxed. He gave a curt nod before settling into his chair. Lorraine leaned forward with her familiar smile, determined to start on friendly ground. "Your Royal Highness, welcome," she began in her lilting Scottish cadence. "It's a real pleasure to have you here this morning. How are you feeling?" Harry shifted, his jaw tight. "I'm fine, Lorraine. Let's just get on with it." His clipped tone drew a subtle raise of her eyebrow. She'd handled difficult guests before, but the defensiveness was impossible to miss. "Well, I know our viewers are eager to hear what brings you back to the UK," she continued evenly. "Many were surprised to see you again. Some even wondered why you returned after speaking so openly about leaving it all behind. So let me ask directly, what's the reason for your visit?" Harry let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Is it really such a shock, Lorraine? I came back for the Well Child Awards, a charity event, something that actually matters. Not that it's anyone's business why I'm here, frankly." The sting in his words cooled Lorraine's smile. The audience fell silent. "Of course, charity work is important," she said calmly. "But you must understand why people question your presence. You've made strong statements about wanting distance from Britain and the royal institution. Some might see this as contradictory." "People see what they want to see," Harry snapped, leaning back with arms crossed. "That's the problem, isn't it? No matter what I do, it's twisted. I can't breathe in London without someone calling it betrayal. Maybe the issue isn't me showing up. Maybe the issue is the obsession with my life." The defiance was unmistakable. Lorraine adjusted her seat, her tone firmer now. "All right, then let's talk about the other side. You've built a new life in America. Many are curious. How does it compare? How is life there versus here?" Harry smirked, almost enjoying the friction. "Let's just say it's better. Far better. I have freedom. Control. I don't wake up every morning with the British press ripping me to shreds. So yes, it's a better life by every measure." The brutal honesty hit the air like a blade. Lorraine's voice sharpened. "That's a very strong comparison. Are you saying your life here was worthless? That nothing in Britain mattered?" Harry leaned forward, his voice rising. "Did you hear what I said? It's better there. Better than suffocating here. I won't sugarcoat it. People can call it disrespectful, but it's my truth. I'd rather be seen as rude than pretend I miss what destroyed me." The audience gasped. In the control room, producers exchanged anxious glances. This was only 10 minutes in. Lorraine's trademark warmth had cooled, replaced by unflinching professionalism. "You know, Harry," she said, steady but edged, "part of why you've always fascinated the public is your candor. But do you realize how your words sound to those who admired you here? People who supported you, even sympathized with you." Harry waved a hand dismissively. "People will think what they want, Lorraine. They always have. Sympathy doesn't put food on the table or protect my family. I did what I had to do. For Meghan, for my children, for myself. If some viewers feel disappointed I've spoken plainly, that's their problem, not mine." The arrogance in his tone cut through the room. Lorraine leaned forward now, meeting his stare head-on. "Then let's be plain as well," she said. "You're here in Britain." Lorraine began evenly, her voice carrying that familiar Scottish lilt. "A country you've said brings you pain, yet you've chosen to sit in this chair on this program. Whether you like it or not, people are watching. They're forming opinions. Not only about what you've done, but how you carry yourself. Do you care at all about that perception? Harry's lips tightened into a thin line. Not anymore. I've wasted too much of my life worrying about what strangers think. They never cared about me, not really. So why should I care now? For a beat, silence pressed down on the studio. The audience shifted uneasily, torn between admiration for his bluntness and discomfort at the contempt in his tone. Lorraine's gaze stayed locked on him, steady and unflinching. "Well," she said at last, her voice measured. "That's certainly one way of looking at it. But I think our viewers deserve more than contempt. They deserve honesty, yes, but also respect." Harry leaned back, crossing his legs with a calm defiance. "Respect is earned, Lorraine. And frankly, after everything I've endured here, Britain hasn't earned mine." The studio went still. Lorraine inhaled slowly, narrowing her eyes just slightly. The polite morning chat had dissolved into something far more volatile. A battle of wills, with neither side willing to yield. She straightened her papers as though reminding herself to stay composed. "All right then," she said, her tone clipped but level. "Since you're here and being so forthright, let's speak plainly about something else. There have been rumors, Harry, stories about your marriage. Meghan is in California. You're here in London. People are whispering. Some suggest there's distance, that perhaps things aren't as perfect as you'd like the world to believe." Harry's eyes narrowed, his whole posture bristling. "Rumors," he said coldly. "That's all they are. And frankly, Lorraine, I'm shocked you'd even bring that up. You, of all people, should know better than to feed tabloid garbage." Lorraine didn't blink. "With respect, Harry, people are talking about it everywhere. I think our viewers would rather hear your answer directly, not filtered through gossip columns." "So, are the rumors true?" Harry's voice rose, sharp with disdain. "Absolutely not. Meghan and I are fine. Stronger than ever. Anyone who believes otherwise is either willfully ignorant or desperate for drama. It's insulting, really, that I come here to discuss serious issues, and instead I'm asked about fabricated fairy tales." The audience shifted again, exchanging uneasy glances. Lorraine studied him carefully, her lips pressing together before she spoke. "Harry," she said softly but firmly, "the fact you're so defensive suggests the rumor struck a nerve." Harry's glare was icy. "You don't get to psychoanalyze me on live television, Lorraine. You don't know my life. You don't know my marriage. What you're doing right now isn't journalism. It's character assassination, disguised as curiosity." The temperature in the room dropped another degree. Lorraine drew in a breath, regaining her footing. "Very well," she said, voice taut. "Let's move to your book. Spare made headlines worldwide. You shared deeply personal details. Your relationships, your grievances. But critics point out sales declined after the initial surge. Do you think perhaps the public has lost interest in your version of events?" Harry laughed, a hollow sound laced with contempt. "Lost interest? No, the truth is people didn't understand it. They weren't ready for it. My story isn't simple. It's layered, complicated. When you're trying to educate the world about trauma, about legacy, about systems of oppression, well, not everyone is intelligent enough to grasp it." Gasps rippled through the audience. Lorraine tilted her head, her eyes narrowing in disbelief. "So you're suggesting the reason your book underperformed is that your readers weren't intelligent enough?" Harry smirked, his voice dripping with arrogance. "If the shoe fits!" A wave of murmurs swept through the set. Lorraine's patience was wearing thin. The warmth of the morning show host was giving way to something sharper. She leaned forward, her tone cutting through the tension. "Harry, do you hear yourself? These are the very people who supported you, who bought your book, who cared enough to listen. And your response is to insult their intelligence?" Harry shrugged, unbothered. "I'm not here to pander to anyone. I'm here to tell my truth. If some can't handle it, or can't understand it, that's their problem, not mine." Lorraine leaned in, refusing to let him slip away. Let's address the monarchy, then. You've spoken endlessly about breaking free, about rejecting the system, and yet so much of your relevance, your platform, your career, is built on that connection. Do you see the contradiction? Harry scoffed. Contradiction? The monarchy is irrelevant to me. I don't wake up thinking about Buckingham Palace. I don't dream about William or Charles. I live my life. I've moved on. What's hard to grasp about that? Yet here you are in Britain. Lorraine replied crisply. Still talking about it, still profiting from it, still tied to it, whether you admit it or not. Harry's jaw clenched, his tone dropping to a near sneer. You think I need them? I don't. I'm free of that circus. I'm not their puppet anymore. Whatever money or fame people think I have because of the monarchy is irrelevant. I've carved my own path. Lorraine let the silence stretch, then struck. Harry, you're not a prince anymore. You made that choice. But the way you sit here today, defensive, arrogant, dismissive, it looks less like freedom and more like bitterness. Many believe this stems not from independence, but from envy. Envy of William. Envy of Kate. That's what people see. Do you deny it? The studio buzzed with murmurs. Harry froze for a split second, his face tightening. His jaw worked furiously, as if chewing on words too sharp to spit out. Finally he spoke, low and venomous. That's a cheap shot, Lorraine. Dragging my brother and sister-in-law into this, suggesting I'm jealous? You think you can sit there and psychoanalyze me like you know anything about what I've endured? You're out of line. Lorraine didn't flinch. Out of line, or simply saying what many already believe. That bitterness has become your brand. That your attacks on the family you left behind are driven more by resentment than truth. Harry's face flushed crimson. He leaned forward, jabbing a finger toward her. Don't you dare! Don't you dare reduce everything I've been through to jealousy. Don't you dare speak my brother's name like you know what happened between us. You have no idea, Lorraine. None. And frankly, this interview is becoming a joke. The audience was hushed now, the air heavy with tension. Lorraine's voice, however, was icy calm. Then perhaps we should end it here. Because if contempt, hostility, and arrogance are all you can bring, then there's nothing more to discuss. This is morning television, not a therapy session, and certainly not a platform for you to lash out at anyone who questions you. Harry's eyes blazed. Maybe it's best you do end it, Lorraine, because I won't sit here and be spoken to like this. Not by you, not by anyone. Lorraine straightened her papers and looked directly into the camera. Then let's call it. This interview is over. Thank you, Prince Harry, for joining us. Harry tore off his microphone, his movements jerky with rage. He stood, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off the set. The audience sat frozen, watching the spectacle unfold live. Lorraine exhaled deeply, turning back to viewers with a strained but professional smile. Well, I think that speaks for itself, she said softly. We'll be right back after the break. The screen cut to commercials, but the moment was already viral. Within minutes, clips flooded social media, sparking furious debate. A routine morning interview had erupted into one of the most explosive confrontations in television history. The break should have given both sides time to cool down. Instead, when the cameras returned, the tension was sharper than before. Prince Harry had reluctantly returned to his seat after an intense backstage huddle with his team. His jaw clenched, his cheeks flushed. Lorraine sat opposite, poised as ever, though her eyes held a flicker of steel. "Welcome back," she said smoothly. Before the break, things got heated. "But if you're willing, Harry, I'd like to continue." Harry crossed his arms and leaned back, disdain thick in his tone. "Fine, but I won't sit here and be ambushed. You want honesty? I'll give it to you." Lorraine gave a curt nod. "Good. Let's talk about perception. Many people feel you've built your public identity on tearing down your family. The very institution that gave you your platform." Lorraine pressed, her tone sharpening. "People wonder, without that royal connection, would anyone care about your opinions? Would anyone buy your books or tune into your shows? Harry let out a sharp laugh, shaking his head. There it is again. The same tired narrative. As if I've nothing to offer beyond my last name. Do you realize how insulting that is? I've served my country. I've been in combat zones. I've worked tirelessly on mental health initiatives. But all you people see is the spare. Lorraine tilted her head. And yet you titled your book Spare. You leaned into that label yourself. That was reclaiming it. Harry snapped, his voice cutting through the air. Owning the narrative before others twisted it. But clearly people like you still don't get it, the audience murmured. Lorraine pressed forward, her tone steady. Harry, what people struggle with is the contradiction. You criticize the monarchy, the tabloids, the system. Yet you continue to speak about it, profit from it, define yourself by it. If it truly doesn't matter anymore, why not let it go? Harry's voice grew sharper. Because letting it go doesn't erase the damage. You think I can just move to California, plant some avocados and forget the years of manipulation, the lies, the press campaigns? No, Lorraine. Some wounds don't heal just because you want them to. But at what cost? Lorraine pressed, her voice rising slightly. Every time you speak out, every interview, every book chapter, you reopen those wounds, not just for yourself, but for your family. Doesn't that matter to you? Harry leaned forward, his eyes blazing. Don't lecture me about family. Where was that family when Megan was suicidal? Where was that family when I begged for support and protection? They left us to fend for ourselves. So don't you dare stand there and ask me to worry about their feelings when they never gave a damn about ours. The air turned heavy. Lorraine didn't blink. Harry, nobody is dismissing the pain you've described. But the way you speak, the arrogance, the dismissal of anyone who questions you, it alienates people. You don't just sound wounded. You sound bitter. Bitter, Harry repeated, his voice rising. I'm not bitter. I'm realistic. I've seen the truth of that institution. I've seen how it chews people up and spits them out. If telling the truth makes me sound bitter, then so be it. Lorraine folded her hands, her tone unyielding. And yet some would argue it's not the truth you're telling. It's your truth. Selective, curated, profitable. Because every time you speak, Harry, it's attached to a book deal, a streaming contract, a stage. Doesn't that make it performance, not truth? Harry slammed a hand against the arm of his chair, the sound cracking through the studio. The audience flinched. Enough with the lectures, Lorraine. You sit there on your cushy morning show, pretending to care about truth, but all you want is headlines. You're no different from the tabloids you pretend to condemn. The studio went silent. Lorraine's voice cut through the stillness like a blade. The difference is, Harry, I don't profit off painting myself as a perpetual victim. I ask questions. You, on the other hand, attack anyone who doesn't bow to your narrative. Harry's mouth twisted into a sneer. You think you're clever, don't you? Sitting there pretending you've got me cornered. But you're just another cog in the same machine I've been fighting my whole life. The only difference is you do it with a smile and a Scottish accent. Gasps rippled through the audience. Lorraine didn't flinch. Calm but firm, she replied. And you're just another man so consumed by his own anger that he can't see the damage he's causing. To himself, to his family, to his legacy. Harry froze, the words slicing through him like ice. For the first time, he didn't immediately snap back. His jaw tightened, his fists clenched. His breathing grew heavier. Lorraine leaned in slightly, her voice dropping but carrying. You want to be seen as free, as strong, as independent. But what I see sitting across from me is someone who still can't let go. Someone trapped, not by his family, not by the monarchy, but by his own rage. The audience held its breath. Harry's lips parted, but no words came out. His face flushed crimson. His eyes darted toward the cameras, toward the millions watching. And in that moment, the confident Duke cracked. He looked smaller, cornered, utterly furious. Sensing the moment, Lorraine softened her tone, just enough to sting. "Harry, you don't need a crown to be a prince," Lorraine said evenly. "But right now, you're not acting like one at all." Harry shot up from his chair, towering over her. The audience gasped as he yanked off his microphone, his voice trembling with rage. "This is pathetic. You're pathetic. And I don't have to sit here and take this." Producers scrambled off camera, trying to contain the chaos. Lorraine stayed seated, her expression unreadable, watching him with a mixture of pity and resolve. "Then maybe it's best we pause here," she said calmly, "because clearly you're not ready for this conversation." Harry glared at her one final time before storming off set, muttering curses under his breath. His footsteps echoed through the silent studio. Lorraine turned back to the camera, her professional smile faltering into something more somber. "Well," she said quietly, "I think our viewers can draw their own conclusions." The screen cut to black, but the damage was already done. Within minutes, social media was ablaze, and Harry's meltdown had entered the history books. The cameras, however, kept rolling. Prince Harry's discarded microphone clattered onto the studio floor as he vanished backstage. The stunned audience whispered among themselves, the tension still thick in the air. Lorraine sat perfectly still, hands folded, her composure intact. A producer leaned in from the wings, whispering frantically, "Do we cut to commercial?" Lorraine raised a hand gently, signaling to continue. She turned back to the lens, her voice steady, her Scottish lilt carrying finality. "Viewers, I want to apologize for what just happened. Live television can be unpredictable. Today we saw emotions boil over, but I stand by my role to ask difficult questions, even when the answers are uncomfortable." The audience broke into a cautious round of applause, not for the drama but for her control in the aftermath. From backstage, a door slammed, echoing faintly through the set. Harry was gone. Lorraine exhaled slowly, then looked directly into the camera. Perhaps what we witnessed wasn't just about one man or one family. Perhaps it was about accountability, about honesty, and the courage or refusal to face them. Whatever you think, today proved that titles don't shield anyone from the truth. The closing theme swelled. The broadcast ended not with polite chatter, but with a lingering sense of history. A royal walkout, a host who refused to bend, and a nation that would be talking about this moment for years to come.